Raywin Pickering, a farmer who is also a comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me.
Yeah,
I'm feeling
she is.
confident today.
And I am Adrienne Pickering, an actor.
And we're
We're
sisters.
sisters. And this is our podcast.
Is this a job?
Yeah.
Where we ask creative people whether having a creative job is actually a real paying job that we can survive off and live a fulfilling life.
Is it a job or is it a hobby? Is it fulfilling or is it just
financial ruin?
Financial ruin and really stressful.
And very stressful. And how do people cope?
Is that
mentally?
just life for everyone though?
Yeah, it could be.
Financial ruin.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Is in everyone's future.
Yeah.
No matter what you choose.
Anyway, we think it's pretty interesting. And we
like talking to amazing people. So
we're having a chat to
we
different
try to
creatives.
learn from them.
Yeah.
How to do it.
Yep.
So yeah. How's your little week been, Adrienne?
Look, thanks for asking, Ray.
I always ask.
I know, it's so nice. It's been really good.
Any auditions, acting
couple of auditions,
on the horizon?
Couple of meetings, couple of auditions.
Networking. Yeah.
Yeah. As you know, I do minimal networking. It's not my bag.
No.
I just want to do the work and let the work speak for itself. That's my form of
networking.
But happy to have a chat to people if that's what networking is. But often networking feels a bit more scary than that.
Yes.
I don't want to be like,
because you have to sell yourself.
Hey, here's
to
my headshot.
Executive heads.
Yeah. Schmoots.
Yeah.
Schmooze. Schmooze
Yeah.
with the execs. But yeah, it feels like there's a bit of stuff bubbling around. Who knows if it's going to bubble in my direction entirely.
As long
but
as
that's
the
okay. You
bubbles are
just
on.
sort of throw your hat in the ring, put the jacuzzi on.
It's like a hot tub. Yeah, you got to push the button.
You got to get ready to get in. Don't worry about
Everyone
the diseases you're going to catch.
Exactly.
Scoop up the hair that's on the top and just jump on in.
Do not put your head underwater.
Do not put your head underwater.
Not good health advice.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm having a pretty good week too. I had a very
How's
good
your week going?
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't going to wait for an ask. I know better than that. But no, I've had a good week last week of figuring out.
You could just do this all by yourself.
I know.
You could ask all the questions and give all the answers.
Then you just tune in with
really
buzzwords like fulfilling, creative.
And cry.
Yeah,
and laugh and cry.
I'm crying now.
Is
it the bright light?
It's as soon as I talk to you, I just start crying. No. I'm
So
very
beautiful.
emotionally connected, so it just ripples through me like,
Yeah.
jacuzzi, like the water in a hot tub.
Stop thinking of
Anyway,
a hot tub. It is actually
way
so
too hot
right now.
outside to be thinking of a
It's
hot
like
tub.
37
Yes.
or something today. Luckily, we're in
gosh,
the
it's not
aircon.
that hot, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's going to be cooking out there by the time we get out of this nice cold studio.
But no, it's been a good week because I had a bunch of gigs that were a bit strange. Like in the beginning of the week because I wasn't doing them very well. I was in my own head
You're doing
a bit.
the new stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to work
Good
it
on
out,
you.
and then it eventually got better
Yes.
throughout the week. So yeah, I think I just stopped thinking and tried to
and
just have
did
fun.
the material.
Yeah,
Trust your instincts.
People want to see you have fun, and sometimes it's not very fun when you're bumming.
They do
so
at
you
the
forget.
end of the day, don't they?
But no,
Yeah, I think
doing pretty good.
you're right. You're right. If a comedian actually looks like they're really nervous, it's like
if they're teetering on the
anyone performing.
edge, you get a bit.
You want to
I guess
support them
that's
and be
part
on
of
their
the-
side, but if they look like they're really anxious.
On the brink.
The brink. It's kind of
Not that I think-
unsettling
yes.
to watch and not something I enjoy because I just worry about their well-being.
Yeah. Not that I was on the brink. I was not on the brink.
Thank goodness.
But I was definitely like, okay, I'm not
But it's a
fully
bit nerve-wracking
confident.
'cause
I'm
it's
not
new
confident in
material.
this, and I don't know quite where the punchline is yet. But I think I kind of found it through the week, so that was good. A good week.
That's a good feeling, eh?
Yeah, it was good. Then last week, last night did a couple more gigs. One was only to 2 people, and then the one after that was to 6 people. So tripled my audience from one gig to another. So that was a pretty good.
That is going in the right direction.
The right direction, exactly. I'm glad I did it in that order. But no, feeling good, and I'm excited to have our guest. Very excited.
We're so excited.
Because we've got a real life musician.
We caught ourselves a wild one. And
we're reeling him in. He is a wonderful human being, as well as being a musician for 20,
30? We don't need
20
to
years?
mention the years even.
Oh,
a long
time.
A long time. Many albums.
Yeah. We're
21 albums.
This is mostly an audio.
Maybe
I know
Chuck
was doing
hasn't updated the website.
How big is the fish? So this is going to be real hard in an audio format. But
who are we talking to?
We are talking to Charles Jenkins.
Hello, what a pleasure. I was waiting for that. Here we go.
You need your name before you can speak.
Yeah, musicians' unions say you can't talk until I introduce you.
Makes sense.
And that's the only thing they've ever done for me in my entire life. But it's 23 records.
God.
I'm just
23 records.
Correct the preamble. Yeah. And I've been playing since, this is a good one. 1983, I reckon.
Oh, wow. 83. Would you count that as
incredible.
Like your professional start that year? Or?
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Big Brother, Australia's Got Talent, and Australian Idol. I scooped the trifecta.
In 83? Wow.
They hadn't been invented.
I realised they were invented.
You were the first person
Far more
in
wants
that
a wife.
house.
I got them all. It's a big week. No, 83, I think that was the one of the bands I was in. One of the first bands I was in kind of started playing and maybe soon after started making records. So let's say that. Besides that, they were high school bands, not to, they were spectacular as well. But perhaps the years have kind of made them feel more spectacular than they were. But yeah, let's say 83.
So was that in Brisbane?
No, unfortunately. That was in Adelaide.
Oh, okay.
Even better.
Okay. Even better.
Rundle Street Mall.
You should have seen it back then.
Yeah. Wow.
Hindley Street. Okay. Do you know, are you familiar with Hindley Street? Oh, okay.
Oh, seriously lacking in the local.
Sorry.
Go.
What was it like being an up-and-coming musician, or even just as a teenager in Adelaide, growing up there? Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. I didn't know any different. It was kind of good. It was really easy to get gigs. Like when we first started, it was really easy to get gigs and get shows. 1983, not much had been invented that we do these days. So you know what I mean? Like all these devices.
People had to go outside and to bars.
And go and watch bands. And so I was thinking this the other day, like a vinyl minimum, the minimum run that they would do at a vinyl warehouse, at the minimum manufacturing run, was 2,000 copies. Like nowadays it'd be 150, 300 if you're Jimmy Barnes or something. But for a 7-inch vinyl, it's 2,000 copies, and that would win you Farmer Wants a Wife these days. Like you get 2,000 copies, and it would get you to the top of the charts as well. So it was just a different kind of thing, and we could go and travel.
It's a big investment as well. I mean, to
2,000.
Yeah.
Well, they eventually got out from under the bed and made their way. But there were enough record stores that what I mean, there were enough small record stores
that would stock it and
that would take it, regardless of who you were.
And people were buying them, I guess is the thing. And people were going to see your gigs.
Wow.
Yeah. There was nothing else to do. I don't know. They'd go to the beach and go to see a band. That was it. Forever.
Sounds pretty good to me. I reckon we should go back to those times.
So was your family like musical? Were you like around creative people growing up, or?
My oldest brother played guitar, so that was very fortunate, and my older sister played guitar, so there were guitars lying around. So yes is the answer. And my older brother had a record collection, and a great record collection in retrospect, and a great stereo. And so that
were you allowed to
I
play
was
things?
when he wasn't in
when
town.
He wasn't,
I had free range.
Allowed to touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he said do whatever you want whenever I'm not around. But I remember
It was a long time ago.
There was this thing where I'd play this John Lennon record and this Paul McCartney record and George Harrison record, and I think, oh, these guys are great.
Yeah, they should get together.
Yeah, that's what I said. He said, "You idiot."
Yeah, they really complement each other well.
Yeah, they sound and they play on each other's records sometimes, like solo records. So yeah, I discovered them in reverse.
He didn't have those vinyls. He didn't have any.
Well, I don't know why
vinyls.
he didn't have those things. Maybe he's I don't know why.
He was such a purist.
Yeah. More of a Stones guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just kind of picked up a guitar and found some other friends to play with, or did you play in your brother or sister's band, or how did you start with that?
They were 10 years older, which seems like a lifetime at that time.
Yes.
But no, I played with friends. I remember we formed a high school band called Rigor Mortis. First album was going to be called Rigor Mortis Sets In, so we were ready to go. Had the artwork planned, everything was ready. And I learned
Big
Wild
dreams.
Thing,
yeah.
I dined out on that for years. And then eventually, we just started doing that. And then when I left school,
Were you writing songs, or it was mostly cover? Oh, yeah.
I was actually, because I couldn't play other people's songs.
It was just Wild Thing.
Just Wild Thing was it.
Because you couldn't read music, Chuck?
Couldn't read music, couldn't sing, couldn't play guitar. There were a few things stopping me from playing other people's songs.
Interesting that you pursued this as a career at that point.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I just started, I'm down at the end of the house and my mother's in one bedroom. My mother's way up the other end of the house in the kitchen, and I'm trying to sing this Beatles song. It doesn't matter. For tomorrow may rain, so I'll fight. One of those McCartney beautiful ones. Yeah. And Mum's at the other end and she shouts down, "Can you whistle?"
Mum. Yeah, that's kind of crushing, isn't it?
But she must have said that kind of stuff all the time because I just kept on going.
Just like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of the Australian encouragement though, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Treat them mean.
Definitely.
treat them mean.
Yeah. The amount of times I would be greeted with, "Oh, you're going out looking like that."
Right. And what do? Do you turn around? No.
No.
Yeah. Did you change?
No. I kept my baggy tees on.
That skirt up and kept that baggy tee.
My corduroy pants, and I
And
marched
you're
out the
still
door.
wearing them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good on you, Amy.
Gives you a tough
like.
skin, I
Yeah,
reckon, growing up in Australia in general.
Yeah.
So
what happens next is that we just keep on doing these things and keep on rehearsing. I always loved a lot of other things around the performance.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't such a big fan of the performance aspect. It just freaked me out.
Oh, really? You mean actually playing the music?
Yeah.
Oh. Really?
Isn't that what you get into it for?
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't. I kind of got into it because I realized I really like coming up with songs because I couldn't play these other people's songs. Eventually I learned how to, but I couldn't play them. And I really like coming up with my own stuff. And I always wanted to be just that person in the background that played guitar and just kind of, stood in the shadows whilst the rest did their thing. But through circumstances beyond my control, I ended up
being the front man.
And
when you're writing the tunes, I guess people are sort of like, well, you got to sing this one, Chuck. Like,
Yeah.
Bernie Taupin never had that problem.
With Elton John.
Yeah.
And my favourite band at the time was UK Squeeze, and they had Chris Difford, who wrote the lyrics, would give them to Glenn Tilbrook, who would sing the songs, except for their big Australian hit, Cool for Cats. Anyway, I always just wanted to be the Chris Difford kind of, up the back with my lager.
Yeah.
Doing the good dance moves.
But it never kind of turned out like the various singers in the band would leave or something or other.
Yeah.
And I ended up, and also suppose my guitar playing was pretty bad, so I had
you
to
couldn't do
some,
that role. They were like,
yeah.
we need someone else who can actually play to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In the nicest way.
Yeah. So that's how it ended up, and we just started making records and just got kind of lucky, at a few different things. But we really enjoyed it. Like I said, I loved the things outside of the performance. I love catching up every like Monday and Wednesday night, practicing and going out to the pub afterwards. And I loved getting in the van and going on tour. It's just a drag that there was this performance thing in the midst of it, which I grew to love and grew to be Mr. Entertainment. But that took
learning, took practice.
Yeah.
So were you encouraged to do these performances and to go on tour like by your family, or was anyone like, nah, you need to go study law? Or something?
Oh, I see. No, not really.
Did you finish school, or did you sort of Skype out of there before? Well, seeing as you were playing so much, I mean.
No, I had finished school. Yeah. I was the youngest in the family, so I think that means
you got away with more.
I got away with more.
A bit distracted.
My parents were exhausted.
We just need a holiday. You got to leave.
The other three had done quite well academically.
So like we've done it. We've achieved something.
Yeah. 3 out
We've
of 4.
Got a couple of kids who are going to tick the boxes. Yeah.
Oh.
So I did
get a wild card.
I did. And which is why it's so kind of hilarious that here I am teaching at a university years later. Kind of
circle,
but initially I did go to uni, but then I kind of left. I got in the Tarago when we ran around the country.
What did you like? What was your own uni? It wasn't music specific?
No, it wasn't music specific. I was kind of just I was interested in the writing, the lyric aspect of it a lot more. I think when I first started, I would take my brother was a big Skyhooks fan, and so I would take the Skyhooks melodies and attach Adelaide-centric lyrics to them. Because he wrote all about Melbourne, Carlton and Toorak and all that stuff.
Yes.
And I would just put my own, at a very young age, which I think of as kind of interesting. And that's what I loved doing for a long time, and I still love doing it now. I just love the coming up with new songs. Like that's it. That's what I'll did this morning. That's what I'll do this afternoon.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I just love that aspect of it. So
Raymond and I were just talking about how what we really love about listening to your music is all of the local references and all of the they're very relevant to our life and the places that we grew up.
Yeah. And you've got a song, I feel like, about every part of Australia.
Yeah. There's something
streets of Brisbane and
comforting and just like joyful about it. Like there's something really familiar and easy to listen to and like follows the story.
Yeah, well, when I went to America, I realised you can sing your way across America, and you can't do that just yet in Australia. This is 25 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I thought, I need to do a little bit more of that.
What do you mean by that, sing your way across America?
Like every town you go to in the States has a song about it that kind of thing. But in Australia, there wasn't too much of that. There probably was. I just was ignorant of it kind of thing.
No,
but I realised.
Right.
Hey?
Yeah, you're probably right. I feel like a lot of people don't do it. That's what really strikes me about your music.
Well, I learnt at some point in time. I can't remember whether it was probably for this study that I did many years later, and I learned that there's this kind of thing that if you name something, you know it. So to name is to have known, and to known is to have seen, and so you sound like you know what you're talking about, even though you don't.
Yeah.
So when Glenn Campbell sings via Jimmy Webb, he sings Galveston. And we see our version of Galveston. And we trust Glenn Campbell, even though we shouldn't. We trust we trust Glenn Campbell, we trust Jimmy Webb. And so when you name something, it's kind of like you have this authority about you. And I think that's what people who listen to songs, or maybe perhaps more go to listen to songs, they just want the person doing it to know what they're know what they're doing, kind of thing.
That's actually so interesting. That's a bit in comedy as well. You have to sometimes the funniest lines are in the specificity of just naming something that's so specific. Then maybe people just trust you a bit more, or they understand
exactly
that specificity and can relate to whatever the joke is. But I do love that in your songs. Have you like, is it a conscious decision of you're trying to sing your way across Australia? Have you got most places?
Where are you at now?
Off your list? Should we get out a map?
Stranded in Oodnadatta. That's the name of my next record.
Not the only one.
What rhymes with Oodnadatta?
Sorry,
Oodnadatta.
Lovely place.
No, I haven't checked where I am on the atlas as yet, where I get kind of thing. But that's, the word specificity is a good one, and that's one of Stephen Sondheim's, one of his 4 songwriting maxims. I should have thought about this. Is one is less is more. The other one is content is form. That was a really big one for me. Content is form, and therefore form is content. So what you're saying deserves to be said in the form of it. So if you're angry at someone, obviously you're going to raise your voice and shout. You wouldn't be just. Or perhaps it's reverse psychology. You might be whispering at them. But like if I'm about to be hit by a bus, I trust that you would say, "Bus, Charles," as opposed to, Charles, you might want to be a little bit aware of the large vehicle kind of. So content is form, form is content. And there's a lot of detail that gets tied up in the actual form of the song. When you hear a song and you think, and you haven't heard the singer as yet, and you're waiting for the singer to start, and you think, wow, this sounds like they're having a whale of a time in this song. I wonder where they're headed. I wonder on which dance floor they are. And then the singer starts with, I'm so miserable. That's not quite right. That didn't really kind of. So that's the way I kind of think about content is form. The third one, back we go, is God is in the detail. Now, he's not being religious. It's just a part. How people say the devil is in the detail in your lawyer contract. But he's saying God is in the detail, that the more you can the more specificity, the more personal kind of information. And by that, I don't mean your
power.
People will kind of see it. People will see their own, their own version of your events.
That's exactly it, I think. It's the same with filmmaking or performing is, sorry not to steal what you're talking about, which was so interesting, but the more specific you are about a certain thing, I think it makes it quite universal because we all see ourselves reflected in it.
Exactly. And I think it's a Leonard Cohen quote, the person is universal. I think that's from Aristotle or something anyway. But the more I do encourage the songwriting students I have to, to put that personal detail in. And I don't mean, their diary or anything. I just mean a descriptive kind of detail, because if you provide the glove, then the audience can provide the hand and the arm and the body kind of thing. So that's that you kind of need the listener to, there's many things, of course, that play here that seduce the listener into the song, the superpowers of rhythm and melody and harmony. And then there's this lyrical thing, and all the people are saying, oh, they're playing our song. And so maybe part of that is that they get given this little bit of detail, and as you say, they provide the rest of the detail. The songwriter kind of gets them to become a part of the song, or the song to become a part of them. So that's the specificity part of it. And the other thing that Sondheim said while I'm on this rant is that the fourth one is everything heads towards unity. So you just make everything moving in the same direction, which I know seems very obvious, but as I said before, there are a lot of songs that you hear when you think, something's just not kind of
where did it go?
Not quite right.
Yes.
And
there's something very pleasing about that to us, isn't there? Like that we enjoy and search for the unity or the journey of something and the end point, or when everything ties in quite well at the end, it's very satisfying for us. Same with any sort of writing or book or film or song.
Songwriters are just super lucky because it's like 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Come on, listen to my song. It's not
forever.
Not 90 minutes.
You can do it.
It's for free, so just come along and listen. And the other thing is the beautiful thing for songwriters, and this people just look at me like a madman when I say this, but the song, when people listen to your song, they always listen to your song from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They don't say, I'm looking forward to it. I might pop in about the 42-second mark and just see how you're going. So they're always at the very beginning. So I don't want to sound like I am saying like a control freak, but you are in complete control.
Yeah, you're
from
constructing
the very
the whole
beginning.
story.
You're total captive.
It's throwing firecracker after firecracker after, it's like this thing that you have complete control about. And because the listener doesn't know, like with a poem, they can kind of look at the shape of it. They know how long the poem is. With a book, they can turn it over and look at the back of the book and think, it's Frankie Goes to War, whatever. And then in a painting, they can kind of, the artist can direct you towards certain things. But in a song, you don't know, you may know the duration and you may know the title. Everything else is just surprise.
Yeah.
And so it's this wonderful juggle that you have as a songwriter. This is why I love it. And I'm banging on about it now. But this other thing is that we have, it seems as though songs and the development of our species kind of coincided because songs talk in these cognitive lengths of lyric. I went to the shops the other day and it felt good.
Yeah.
Came back from the shops the other day, it felt even better. It's not as if I'm going blah, 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 the whole way. We have this kind of length. And so therefore each line has this real importance to it, like whatever.
Yes.
And then as you know, you have to arrange that detail. It's kind of, many times I've spent trying to figure out the order of this pattern of verse and how long is the chorus and do I have a bridge and what's the pre-chorus and all this stuff. And as part of that is to put the punchline in the right spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just put it just won't be working. So that control of information really.
So do you write
Such a joy.
Yeah. So do you write words first and then you find the melody, or are you just constantly strumming around on the guitar and you've that's a cool tune. Let's see what fits in there or what kind of lyrics I want to put with that. Which one comes first?
Chris doing that. Our brother Chris Pickering, who's a musician. Yeah.
He will
the
just
same
start strumming
again and sort of finding the words.
Yeah. He knows a couple of tunes. He does play.
He's very good. It varies. So
there's no one magic thing for you.
There's no one way, and I like to think of it as many different things as there are in a song. I always think of a song as a circle. As many different things there are in a song, that's an entry into the song. So the lyric could be an entry, the chord or the melody or the title or the tempo or the time signature or the sound of the kick drum, or you want to sound like a shepherd on the top of a hill. All these things are just an entry to it. I do a thing. There's a couple of things. The things I like the most is when the words and the music, the melody and the chord come at the same time. You're just lazily strumming away and absent-mindedly or something, and then you will sing a line and you think, that's interesting. Yeah. And it's taken me, only about the last 10 years or so to not try and change those words because those words may seem they may seem nonsensical and I think, well, I have to change that kind of thing. But
you've got to trust the process of
fixing, well, not just whatever the nonsensical thing is, you work out how to replace it so it makes perfect sense. So I came up with this thing the other day and I was singing, we got the flavors and we make them work. I thought, what on earth is that? What is that?
It sounds like a commercial for Skittles.
Exactly. Right? So
let's get them on the phone.
The next day, I didn't know what, it was late, so I woke up the next day and went for a walk, and walking is a great thing for all artistic endeavors. It's the number one thing. And I realized, of course, in the past I might have tried to change that. We've got the power to make people succeed or something, But no, we got the flavor.
Trying to make it into something.
And then so I play in a band called the Ice Cream Hands, and I thought, we don't actually have a theme song. So we got the flavors and we make them work. I just have to construct this scenario whereby we're in an ice cream van on the beach at summer. It's our summer holiday job. And I've given up on writing songs because I can't play the guitar, I can't sing. And now we're in an ice cream van and we're all singing, we got the flavors and we make them. And then we just start screaming out, chocolate and vanilla, macadamia. And that's what I love about songwriting. It's this ridiculous thing to do, but fun and beautiful. Fun is the big word, but it's just so much. So that's what I've learned, to not mess with those things that go, they just come out.
Yeah.
Yes, the instinct, trusting the instinct, and also the lateral thinking side of it, sort of thinking outside the circle, and coming up with different ways of doing things. It's sort of constantly exciting, I guess, isn't it? Like you can see, it sounds like it. Like it's sort of,
yeah. You've got you're reverse engineering, or you've got that shape over there, and you're just trying to kind of head to it. The other very lucky thing I do is I write a song each week for a radio station, but they give for Triple R, for John Von Goes on Triple R on Sundays, but he gives the idea.
The theme,
and so I just get that theme and write a song as quickly as I can and send it to Doug from the Ice Cream Hands, who makes it sound amazing. And so that's
so you do that every week.
Yeah,
do you think that's part of like a secret to your success, and how much you sort of you seem quite inspired by it, Chuck, and like. Is the frequency, like you're doing it all the time. You're sort of constantly writing. There's not a lot of like ruminating and throwing stuff out or putting stuff in a shelf. I mean, maybe you put it in the drawer for later, but you know what I mean? It seems quite prolific, and it seems like you're very generous with your ideas and getting them out there, and just...
Like maybe have you just like always almost treated it like a job? Like you sit down at 8:30 and you're like, yeah, I've got to do this.
Oh, well, the Triple R thing, the radio thing, does supply the two wonderful aspects of the idea and the deadline.
Yeah.
So they're the things that you
need.
Creative sort of need a deadline.
Definitely. They work.
Yeah, they do work. Because I have lots of songs where I've started with a chord progression or a lyric thing, and they're waiting in another room, lonely, waiting for me to turn up and say hi. Because in the meantime, there's these other ones that they have to be written quickly, I suppose what generally speaking, what happens with those songs is I just think in retrospect that lyrically they could be a little bit better, more improved. So that seems to be the bit that does take the longest, is to make
tinker and
cover, because you think, oh, why didn't I say that kind of thing? I've been using ChatGPT lately.
Have you?
To cover up my apparent inability to tick that box of why did I miss that? Why that was so bleeding obvious. Why did I miss that thing?
You mean something didn't rhyme with something else? What do you mean?
Not necessarily, but just something. ChatGPT is woeful at rhyming, by the way. It's hilarious. But it's just like, I would, if the theme is a tree, I might forget to mention the leaves or something, you know what I mean? And then ChatGPT will just make a big deal about leaves, and I'll say, oh, God, of course, Right. So, but I do find myself just as a last resort, I go to ChatGPT and just look at it.
Just double check.
Yeah, just to double check. Have I ticked all, have I covered everything here? So, and I go to RhymeZone. RhymeZone's my friend, just in case I kind of think that, of course, that rhymes with orange. I could have thought, why didn't I think of that? And so, because I once got asked
all these tools that you can use.
That's about it. But there's just two. I got asked to go
not a great tool belt.
No, I had to write a song on the radio once in an hour, and that was, I just had RhymeZone open and Google to ask a question, because I was given the themes. And anyway, it's not something you really want to do.
That's like kind of improv, and it wouldn't necessarily lead to a great song, although sometimes beautiful creative things are achieved with a deadline like that, aren't they? But not always.
So that's songwriting.
So fascinating.
So how was your like early years into? You said you got into it very quickly. Like, so you left uni, left that arts degree, and then you were touring around. Did you find kind of enough success that you were able to support yourself, and you were like feeling like, actually, I can do this?
Did you always just know this was it?
No, I don't think I felt this was it for a really long time. It was just kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then
enjoy the lifestyle. You said you enjoyed a lot of things around it, not just that.
Yeah.
So you were just touring with friends?
Touring
all
with
around
friends
Australia?
and we wouldn't go fishing. We'd go play gigs in Sydney. You know what I mean? Like we weren't playing golf together. We'd go play gigs in Melbourne kind of thing. It was that kind
and
of
would
friendship.
you get just enough money from...
Just enough money.
To pay for petrol and then...
Yeah. And then thankfully when I was about 25, the first of the kids turned up. And so that was, I better get a job.
Wow.
I better get a job that gave a little bit more money.
Yeah.
But the really good thing about that, besides all the obvious beautiful things about having a child.
Not to gloss over the kid, the other tiny human.
And the loving mother and all that. The beautiful thing about
that.
God, I'm going to talk about songwriting again. But I went because I was just, strumming a song for 3 hours on the couch or something each day or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when the kids turn up, you've got 30 seconds in the shower to write your song. And the songs became so much better.
Oh, wow.
Because I wasn't faffing about with all this
and not overthinking it, maybe.
I'd learned, I'd spent 10 years or whatever it was, doing all the learning chords and all that stuff. And then it was like, I'll write a song about waterfalls. And I would just think about it. And I got work that kind of, I enjoyed the work that helped with the songwriting. And by that I mean I really didn't mind the warehouse kind of work.
Yeah.
Because I could just think about songs all day. And then I got work in record stores, and that was sensational, as you could imagine, for writing songs, for learning
and
songs.
Listening
and watching the rhythm, watching people inadvertently, subconsciously, unconsciously kind of be moving to stuff.
Well, they were looking through the records.
And the record changes and they don't look up, they just start moving. Yeah. And then that coincides with the kids, jumping around like crazy people the whole time. And I just think,
so uninhibited and like in their
why
body.
Why don't I do that? Why am I so uptight? Look at these guys. I should be more like these guys, jumping around in my underwear all the time. I'm going to do that.
They just feel the music, don't they? Like they just feel it with everything and let go, and there's no sense of like what it looks like from the outside. I just love that about
it took me so long to get my head around that thing. That thing of it's better to just jump in, because if you don't, you're going to draw more attention to the fact that you're not jumping in. So just jump in.
That you're just watching.
Yeah. It took me a long time to figure that one out.
Yeah, the doing the thing, not watching the thing or talking about the thing.
Yeah.
Doing the thing. That's a real hard one to learn, I reckon.
Yeah.
I still talk about that to myself a bit too, because I'm much more comfortable sort of watching the thing and observing the thing. Yeah. But of course, much happier just doing the thing. Yeah. So
because you can build it up in your head to be like so much more scary than what it actually will feel like.
But of course it feels better to be the one dancing, not to be the one on the side like laughing or watching someone else dance. But we can sometimes think about it too much. Be inhibited, think we're going to do it wrong, all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
Next time I'll do it. I don't have enough time now, or I'm too tired right now, or I don't have enough money right now, or I've got to do this right now or something.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I say to the, so I mentioned about it's really good to name something in a song, but because it attracts the listener into your song. But the other great thing about the participation of it is if you can get them to sing along. And of course you can't do that with every song, that'll just be overkill, and if you can't name everything in every song. But you know how when you'd go to a concert or whatever, and you're on your way there and you think, and you never think, I can't wait for a jolly good sing-along a bit later on. Like, that would just be the best. Yes. But the moment you get there and if you're given the opportunity, bam.
Feels you're in.
Before your brain is saying, don't you dare.
Yeah.
Don't you dare. You're in.
You can't hit this note. Just try.
I just love that aspect of it all. And from a songwriter, you it's beautiful when people are singing along.
That must feel amazing to be on stage, to have written that song and to be sort of being the conductor in a sense.
And then everyone's singing with you. That must be the best.
Yeah. It is. It's only the thing that's only slightly better is when at the conclusion of the song they chase you to your merchandising desk and throw their money at you. Here, I want that song. I don't have that song. I'll have your. I'll have the tea towel. So that's why I say to the songwriters, like, if you just think that you can, like, if you think that this song, you've done all your personal detail in the verses, that's beautiful. But in the verse, give them the universal whatever it is.
Some kind of
something to build out.
Yeah. She loves you. Yeah. There's something. Because people will, because they can't stop themselves from doing it, and they feel great because they're participating in it, and like they were in a they're in a circle as we are now, like 10,000 years ago, telling our stories like we are now, and so if you give them like simple words to say, like a simple chorus line, whatever it is. It's easy to sing about. So imagine, the simple chorus is, I don't know, what's the simple chorus? The simple chorus is, I love you, baby, right? Terrible, okay? But therefore you're contractually obliged to write the most funniest detailed verses to make I love you, baby sustainable.
Interesting.
You've really got to go crazy in the verses to make that simple chorus work. And so people then delight even more in the utterance of those simple words because what's joined to them, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the simple chorus, such as I love you, baby, means that you can write about anything. Past, present, future, what's happened this morning, what you wore as a kid, what your mum said down the hall, or everything happens. Whereas if you had made that chorus line a little bit more detailed, like I love you, baby, at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, then it kind of constricts the rest of the stuff. Yeah. So that's why I say keep it simple, because you can get the participatory, whatever.
The action,
and then the writing becomes so much fun. And that's what I would really enjoy in those menial jobs that I had where I was just packing DVDs or something.
Yeah.
I just could think about
the writing and how it all fits.
Yeah.
So you had, what was your first like kind of glimpse into a big break? Was it with Ice Cream Hands, where you're like, okay, this is where we're cooking with gas here. Things are happening.
Yeah, that was, we'd put out one record, the first record, and I really think I was still figuring out how to write songs. There were too many chords and all that stuff. But then with our second record,
were you the only songwriter?
No, there's a couple of others in the band, but I tend to write the most. So and then in the second album we had a great review in The Age, in the Green Guide, when Sean Carney, Saturday, October the 14th.
Still remember it. Still got the
if you brought it, pull it out of your wallet.
And it meant a lot, back then.
Good.
It meant a lot, like the Noel Mingle up at Brisbane and all these.
Did you have to like send it off to them as well? You're like trying to get it.
I know the record company would do that. I was shocked as anyone when it was there, and it was glowing. It was a beautiful review.
5 stars?
And a half.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
Out of 5. And then what happened?
Did that actually equate to like quite a nice bump, or it was just?
It just kind of meant it just kind of meant that the record company was happier with us or something, and our stocks raised a little bit with
like
them.
legitimized everything.
Yeah. It probably just meant nothing at all except for me. Like I just thought, this is great.
I think a lot of people did read the Green Guide, though. I reckon it would have probably led to a bit
maybe
of a
more
bump.
so than today.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think So it was a bit of a deal.
Wow.
And then the next, which meant that the next record that we did, because we're with a little independent label in Melbourne called Rubber Records, but then they signed, the label themselves signed with BMG, a
big,
multinational.
Right.
And so that meant that our next record had lots of promo, and we had this promotional team from BMG that would run around the countryside, and we'd go.
That must have felt amazing.
It was amazing.
Was it amazing? Or was it not what you wanted?
I was old enough to recognise how kind of cool it all was. Thankfully, I'd been in bands for long enough that I knew this was good, and like these people were just so beautiful. Young kids that I never had their skills when I was their age to be so, wonderfully kind of like persuasive.
Marketing and
But you go into Triple J with them, and Triple J would just fall to their knees because these beautiful young people from BMG, and they would say, "Here's our whatever," kind of thing. Here's the ice cream, whatever, kind of thing. And so that was really good for that record, and we were off and running and playing big gigs, big tours, label support, and then the second act, like things fall to bits. The second what happened is that then Rubber, I don't think the label was enjoying their deal with the BMG, the big deal, and so they split, and we had to go back.
Contract was with them, not
So we didn't have the
big change.
We didn't have the promo team.
It's hard to have tasted that,
and I kind of knew it.
Ah.
I kind of knew. Oh, that's okay. That's it. And that's when I think around then, we made a few more records, but around then that's when I started to play a lot more solo gigs because I was enjoying a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And when I started working in, I started slowly doing songwriting workshops and working in, as opposed to working in record stores. I moved into that stuff, and that was a big change.
It must be a whole different beast. Being in a band, you're a part of a group, and then suddenly you're it. You're the only person out there. Did you have to learn all these other kind of skills that were being a solo person? Like, did you have to be more confident, I guess, in promoting just yourself? It's harder.
Yeah, you had to host the gigs
exactly,
too, right? Like
so
you
all
have to
in
do
between
all the
the
segues
songs
and do all the
and
chit-chat.
Yeah, that's all different skills to being in a group that you can kind of just come up with things together. You can chit-chat like
also just not with your friends.
Yeah, right. It must be so different.
How was that?
Well, it was. I grew to love it. It was challenging, but I realized because sometimes, not so much in the a little bit with bands, you can win an audience over with sheer volume, but not so much.
I can't hear myself think. This must be good.
Really good.
What? So what I had to do, and it was really good for my songwriting, I'd put the set list down. And I'd think, okay, I've got to work this out. Like, where's my introductory song? Where's my song that makes them laugh their block off? Where's the song that makes them weep? So where's my waltz?
Telling a story with your order of your playlist.
I had to work. I had to write a song according to the set list, whereas opposed to it was just like, we got this song, and it was great. It worked really well. And set lists when you're in a band are of course structured. You don't pull them out of a hat, but this, because it's only you and your guitar and your song. There's nothing else.
No,
so the song is
it.
really important. And that was a great way to write songs. It's like this weekly radio thing I do now. I think, okay, I got to try and write a really funny song. I better try and do it.
Right, because they need to laugh right now.
Yeah, make them laugh. Exactly, at this point. Yeah.
That's what I'm missing,
Make them laugh and you make them cry, you make them dance, you make them disagree with you, whatever.
And would you still have a lot of songs from your repertoire with Ice Cream Hands that you would play yourself and sort of like rediscover them too in all that? Because there would have been a lot of fans who wanted to hear that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Who want to hear those big songs and stuff. How do you do that?
Well, I don't know if it was a conscious decision, but I just found myself not playing them because I wanted to kind of keep the Ice Cream Hands thing over there so that when we would play, that became a bit of a treat. It wasn't as if I was always playing the big Ice Cream Hands songs over here. I would just leave them for that. And because people knew them in that context, in the Ice Cream Hands context, they would, they just sound like
they got different.
Yeah. Okay. So they were best left to that way.
Yeah.
So no, it just became, and it got to the point where I felt so confident that I just put the set list down and go, regardless of if people talk through my set or if they're rude or if they do what, I'll tell them to shut up.
You got to keep going. Right?
But I would just think, no, these songs are really good, so get stuffed.
What a wonderful place. gosh, how many years do you reckon it took you to get to that point?
Next Feb. It took a while.
Wow.
About 10 years of playing in a band before I thought that I was learning how to write a song, and probably, I don't know, another 10 years or something.
That's a big investment.
Yeah, but I can't do anything else. So it was okay. and then I discovered the other love of my life, which is running songwriting workshops.
Yeah.
And I realized, this is really
Yes, and so you said
good.
this is around the same time as you started out playing more by yourself. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you love about that? What do you love about the workshops? I mean, you
because
clearly love songwriting.
I clearly love songwriting, and I just think it's such fun. You get to deal with people. You get to have fun with people that don't write songs. And so I love the opportunities when I'll go out, I'll get work in a library, and people come in, it's for free or whatever. They'll come along. Their grandfather once wrote a song, so they might give it a go, kind of thing. And they come along, and you just start writing a song, and I just find it so bizarre, from that kid that who would not go into a lecture if the lecture door had closed for fear of people looking at him while he, and all of a sudden I'm up there kind of waving my hands around like a weirdo. But I think there was this one thing that happened pretty early on in this whole thing that made me realize, if I've got through this thing, so I reckon I can do pretty much anything. So this thing was, I was working for a company that would send you out to correctional facilities. Teach them how to write songs, and one of them was out at Malmesbury. There's a juvenile detention centre out at Malmesbury, and it was with the guys and they were 18 to 21, so they were adult but not deemed ready for the adult correctional facility system. And so I was going out there to teach them.
How old were you?
I was about 25 years ago or something, about 20 years ago. So I was in my 30s.
Wow.
And and I was asked to go out there and teach them how to play guitar. Okay, that's pretty funny because I can't really play guitar still, but I'll give it a go.
Surely you're pretty good by now. I think you're pretty modest.
I'm not. And then I got a call the night before from my boss saying that, okay, so earlier today out at Malmesbury, one of the clients picked up one of the guitars and whacked a guard with it. So you'll be teaching them how to play ukulele tomorrow. Is that okay? I said, yeah.
This is the tinier version.
Yeah.
No worries at all. And then I put the phone down, and this was before ukuleles were kind of
Popular. Yeah.
I'd never played one in my life. I didn't know that they're smaller than
This
guitars.
was,
right?
pre-Jack Johnson.
Those were the days. So I got the tram into town and went and bought a ukulele and bought how to play ukulele book and took it home and learned my three chords, and then went out to Malmesbury, and they had all these ukuleles lined up, and they was like they
did well to get a lot of ukuleles overnight.
I don't know what but they're all like $10 each, so the worst kind of. Not that I knew really. I thought all ukuleles were like that, and so I spent about an hour trying to. I bought one of those pipes, like the four little. So I tuned them all and placed them around on these chairs, in this lovely circle for these young men. And they waltzed in like the biggest rugby team I'd ever seen in my life.
Swagger.
And they just had one look at me and just thought, yeah. Fresh meat or something. I don't know what they thought. I don't know what they thought. But they would just pick up their ukuleles and then they'd start trying to play Highway to Hell or something on it. And if it didn't sound good, so therefore it must be out of tune.
Oh, so then they'd untuned them all.
And I'd say, okay, maybe don't try and do that. And I was looking around for help at some point in time. To the guards? Nah.
They're just locking the door. Pointing to their watch,
I didn't care. And I just remember sweating, and I got through it like it was an hour or something, and I taught them Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I don't know what I taught them. I was not prepared.
You got to bring Tiny Tim.
Wow.
And then the guards took them away, and I remember just walking out into the car park at Malmesbury and sitting in the car and just breathing for a while.
Kind of surreal.
Yeah. I thought, And then when things come up and you think, oh, I don't know if I could do that. And this little voice says, you got through mums, bro. So when you texted the other day and said, do you want to do this thing? I said, nah. Oh, and then you got through mums. You can handle the picking. Yeah. Maybe I can't. But you win.
Oh, we're pretty tough. Yeah. We're a little bit tougher.
Well, we cannot have a guitar in this room because we will smash it over each other.
So and so that's led me to this wonderful thing. And so I teach at a tertiary level, and I also just teach songwriting.
What was it that was so terrifying about it? Was it your physical safety as well?
Oh,
or
no,
do you think it was
really.
kind of just feeling like duck out of water kind of thing? Like these people don't get me and don't, you know what I mean? Feeling like the things you had to offer weren't what they wanted.
They didn't care. They didn't want to be there. They didn't. They were
so
there
the
under
whole time.
sufferance.
Did you end up getting them at the end? And one of them had this killer
eventually I went out. I went back, and there was some lovely Islander boys out there, and that's when we would sneak off into the corner and sing Jack Johnson songs. No, we would just sing these lovely Islander songs.
Yes.
Eventually we got there,
because
but
they would have grown up with a ukulele sound, and so I mean, that I was going to say, like, maybe some of them actually got more out of it than you think.
Sorry, just choking on that revelation.
I was just like, trying to put a positive spin on it, but
no. So that's that was the start of my career.
You've kind of mentioned a few times where you've had some rough gigs and rough incidents. Was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't think I can do this? Like, this is... Did you ever have this?
Well, most creatives do, and people tend to go through real, like dark sides. I mean, we feel pretty burnt out or pretty just jaded. Yeah,
you just kind of go through the ups and the downs where you can feel like so low. I'm not sure what... Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your... I don't know, well, like, what does a low gig look like for a musician? Because I know it's like, I'm upstairs in Fitzroy to two people that are drunk in the corner and they're not listening. They hate me, and why am I doing this? And you're like, you would get really introspective, and you're like, I can't get my words out and all those kind of things. I'm sure, I don't know what your low would be.
To the joy of doing it, because it feels so hard in those moments. And so, over the course of a long career, there just inevitably are probably those moments. Yeah. Like, have you ever had a bit of a rock bottom? What would be like just thought,
the worst
can't do
gig?
It. Can't do it anymore.
I do love worst gig stories as well.
I've got to check my watch to see how long I've got. There's hundreds, like literally, probably about 50 like dreadful things. Like I remember an early gig with the Ice Cream Hand. I don't know who it was actually, and it was like you just get. I suppose it's when you get put in these situations that you just aren't in control of. Like we were playing at some big joint that I think ran weddings or something, and there was a beauty pageant. It went on, and there were thousands of people there to see the beauty pageant
while you were performing.
And we were playing after the beauty pageant, so the beauty pageant happened and everyone left. And that makes perfect sense in retrospect. And I looked around and thought, that makes kind of sense. It's deeply humiliating on one level, but what else, can you expect? And there were, there were times when we'd go and play music festivals when they were a little bit more kind of folk. These days festivals cover quite a few different genres, what I mean? But these were the days when they weren't, and here comes a pop band, Ice Cream Hands, with their snappy choruses and major minor shifts, and they, they just split. And then there were other times. I remember playing at Melbourne Uni once in O Week. God bless them, when they had gigs in O Week, and I'm out there playing a gig solo, and I'm playing to no one except my girlfriend at the time, and like there's hundreds and hundreds of kids there, but they're all lining up for their free sausage, and then they fuck off, and so but that's you kind of get used to it.
Do you?
Right.
Yeah.
So it never made...
Like, keep going.
Yeah. So it never really made you be like, I don't know if I can do this. It was just like, well, the next one will be better.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, it's a combination of things. The Melbourne Uni one, I just would have got through it thinking I'm getting paid a lot of coin, so that's okay.
That helps.
So that helps a lot. And the other thing, sometimes you're just doing it, if you're doing it with your mates in a band, then you can laugh about it later or moan about it later or kill each other about it later. Someone is to blame for it later.
Yeah.
But no, there's just been so many of them, and there'll be so many more. I do tend to ask a lot of questions. I've been asked to play a gig during the Grand Prix coming up, and I had like about 20 questions for the guy. I said, where
will there
is
be
it?
a beauty pageant?
Are there free sausages?
Will I actually be performing inside an ice cream van? Yeah.
If so, I've got the song for you. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really. But yeah, I don't know.
Wow. Are you doing the Grand Prix gig as well?
But I found out that it's well away from the actual starting grid or whatever you call it. So there's and I'm getting, it's a guarantee. So, so I don't really.
Yeah.
Great.
It's a Friday night. What else would I be doing? I'd be, not much. I'd be writing a song. So yeah, and you get, I think, and I think it was when the kids came along and I could just watch them being kind of crazy, and then that really helped me because I thought, no one gives a shit. No one, just do it. Well, you don't be, you're not going to.
Don't second guess.
You won't be up for an Academy Award for best performance outside the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's been lots and lots and lots.
Have you found it a bit of, I don't want to say like struggle, but is it challenging having kids and doing something that involves a lot of nighttime gigs and touring and being away? Like, how do your kids go to school? Just practical things of like, have you found that really hard or just?
Oh, it was, but the mum, the mother of the kids was great about that. I remember I went to the States for 6 weeks or something, and the kids were really young, like 3 and 5 or something, and I didn't want to go, but maybe it's 3 weeks. There's 3 weeks, and I went, and it was just hard work, a gig every night, and then I came back, and I was telling Deb about it, and I said, it's tough. Like, they just want me to go back and go back and go back, and I don't know if I really want to do it. And she said, well, just do it. You should do it if you think that you want to do it for the career. So she was glad to get rid of me.
Yeah. Well,
so no, I was fortunate in regard to
having some
partnership.
Supportive. Yeah.
And the kids, like one of them's a great musician these days, and the other one, the other one,
can they play guitar?
Really well, really well. They're both not in. Well, the oldest one is in. He's not in a band with they're instrumental bands. So I found that interesting.
That they didn't take
don't have the whiny lead singer
into songwriting.
thing.
Wow,
Well, they're into songwriting, but they don't have
the lyrics and the story. Wow.
Interesting. Well, the musical story.
Well, yeah.
That's right.
The rhythm of it. Wow.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So would you, I mean, obviously you do in a way recommend it because you teach it, but would you recommend this career as, obviously your children have maybe taken this path, but do you think it's a wise choice?
I don't know if it's wise, but it's fun and it's precarious.
Yeah.
And I suppose in this day and age, like every job's kind of precarious.
Yeah.
Once upon a time you would just, you could just a job for life.
Yeah.
But people don't really seem to want that.
It's kind of an illusion.
Yeah.
Like, I think some people can think they have the job for life, but actually we're all just a second away from one company buying another company and laying off a bunch of staff anyway. And it does happen to a lot of people with those sensible jobs, I guess. But life is precarious.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. And I had, I know the job that I've got teaching it's a casual position, so it could stop next year, and that's okay kind of thing. I'll worry about it at the time. But I remember getting this advice. I did do a small business course in my youth, when Elliot came along, because I kind of wanted to spend more time with him, and you could get the dole and you do the short course, get the dole and do your business idea. My business idea was writing songs, so it was okay. Kind of thing. But I remember that. It worked out well. The only thing that I do remember, it was a fine course. The only thing I do remember was that they tried to encourage this 7 streams of income.
7 streams.
What?
7. They like the alliteration. I don't know. There's 7 streams of income, and so
that's what we're missing, Raywin.
I know
7 streams.
Oh God, we're missing 6.
So, and this is where it gets hard. You got to think of them right. So I had to think. Okay, one is playing guitar in a band. 2, playing solo gigs. 3 is I'm stuffed. There's teaching. 4 might have been teaching guitar, which I should be doing. 5 might have been working in a record store, which I was doing at the time. 6 might, so if you just do that, and it was pointed out that if you do well in one of them, if the band that you're in does well and gets a high profile interview review in the Age or whatever, then that will lift up one of the other things. And that worked.
That's
I would have a solo gig somewhere. Oh, that's right. The thing, I started writing songwriting workshops. That was the other one of the 7, if I didn't mention that before. I remember getting a photo in the Age for a gig, and I'd mentioned to the journalist how I'm doing this stuff, and then before I know it, someone in Sale in Country Victoria reads the newspaper article, and I get a job out there in Sale, going out there. And so next time I see you, I want your 7 streams
of income.
Serious about
this. Well, because one of the questions
never too late.
Yeah. One of the questions we've asked previous creative people is sometimes you might need to make a compromise of pivoting away from what you really love. But you're kind of they can all, you don't necessarily have to think of it as pivoting away. It can complement.
Yes, it actually seems like they're all really supporting each other, and it sort of works that it's, casual, whatever term companies have for employing you, but it kind of works because you've got all these other things happening anyway, so it sort of suits you.
You can't have a full-time mental load of any one thing because you've got you can't have 7 full-time jobs.
Yeah, surely that's not what they were suggesting.
No.
No.
I think it's kind of like that's you just become known for this thing, and so people will call on you for it. My song needs a bit of fixing. Can you help? Kind of thing. And I'm just a little bit, lucky in the regard that seems a bit more common these days, that people are. Looking Dr. Song reporting for duty. So it's just kind of been. But there has been plenty. I remember in my 20s asking my older brother, after a gig, should I be doing this? Should I be?
Wow. And
what did he say?
Pursuing this?
He just had a major accident with head trauma, so he may not have been the right person to ask. But he said, do it.
It's your moment. Well, in a way, maybe it is good
enough.
advice.
Yeah.
There's no time like the present.
Wow.
So I did spend plenty of time questioning it. But once I realized that I could make a little bit of I could make enough money from the teaching side of it. And I did have a good friend that sat me down once, and he was an accountant in some big firm. And this was another, fortuitous thing that happened to me. And he helped me along those lines of planning those different streams of income and doing this. And he said, go into the workshop thing. And that's when, so I got, got lucky in that regard.
Wow.
But I had to, because I couldn't do anything else, still can't. And I really enjoyed it and wanted to persevere with it.
Yeah.
So,
thank goodness for all of us that you did.
Yes. Yay. 23 albums in. Gosh.
Wow.
And counting.
Incredible. Yeah, and counting. So what's up next? Are you more writing? Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Given your love of songwriting, have you ever thought about moving into, writing books or films or screenwriting or something like that? It seems like your love of the story is deep.
I think about it, yeah. I
reckon you should.
Yeah, I'd like to. I've written a few kind of concept records, very loose concept records, and I just liked that structure Like again, like we're putting rather than the song being here, the whole record's here.
Yeah.
Just fill in the characters and fill in the places. And so I'm kind of curious to do something like that. And there's nothing's really stopping me, because if they don't end up becoming,
it's sort of you've almost got the structure there. If you've got this concept album and then it's sort of like that's all telling a story of characters, then you need someone to fill it out and you know.
Wow.
You've got one
Like the
about
film.
Dimitri the shepherd. So I'll just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Get real specific on that one.
Well, if
Dimitri the shepherd from
you'd like
Brunswick.
to come see some sheep, I can help you out with that.
yes,
That's
of
true.
course.
We've got a shepherdess right here.
Raywin the shepherd is all I'm saying. If I could just be one of the songs.
I'll get casting to come in your direction.
Beautiful. Wow, that's great. Do you have anything? This has been such a lovely chat. Yeah, it's been so amazing. Is there anything you want to
going deep on songwriting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope
your
you don't
passion for
mind.
it is really infectious.
It's so fascinating. I really do not think enough about what goes into a song. That it's there's so many layers to it, and it's been really interesting.
The only other thing I wanted to say, seeing as I said so much about songwriting, you know, that thing I told you about how people listen to your song from the very beginning. Right? The other thing is, the reason why songwriters are so lucky is that songwriters get one thing that none of the other arts get: the painters and the poets and the printmakers and the publicans, whatever, the sculptors. They don't get the chorus. Songwriters get a chorus.
Yeah.
So there's this, I know there are many great songs without choruses, but songwriters get this inbuilt repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here comes this bit again.
Yeah.
I heard this bit just before. I
feels
love this
good,
bit.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
We know
it's like
that
I'm
we
having
know
a
what's
second
coming.
coffee. This is great, this bit kind of thing. So there's this repetitive thing that comes back, and we love repeating things we enjoy, and we love patterns, and we love recognizing patterns. So songwriters are just so lucky, because we have this thing built into the form called the chorus that repeats, and that's why songs that may not be the greatest songs can do quite well, because of the form, you know, itself. I said content is form before. I should have said this then, but there's that inbuilt repetitive aspect to it, and songs also that enables this thing to happen. You know, like when someone you turn a song on and someone is just telling you the most full-on stuff about their life, right? And you just think,
oversharing.
wow, you know, that's really, you know, okay, all right. And, you know, can you, like, if someone came up to you and said that, you just say, whoa, just cut that, not now.
Yeah.
But when it happens in a song form, people just think, oh, yeah, a song.
Yeah.
You know, cool. I'm sure you're going to get, you know.
Someone should mention that to Kendrick Lamar.
I loved his thing at the Super Bowl. But then, but yeah, so this is that really interesting thing happens, I think, in songs, you know, and that what happens in these workshops when you've never met someone before, and a minute later or
the
something,
confidence to
they're
share this
singing this song,
very personal
thinking,
part of
wow,
themselves.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's a really lovely environment to be in, that people feel so natural about singing, putting these things into songs. And that's the other beautiful thing about, you know, just for the performer, for the writer themselves, if they're that way inclined, they can get that out. Kind of thing. You know, it's a wonderful feeling, a wonderful opportunity
We
to
all
have.
sort of get that feeling of connection.
Yep.
Do you think it's harder being a musician now than when you started in the 80s?
Yep.
Do you think it's just harder to actually make, just because the landscape's changed so much? Everyone's attention span is on 7-second videos or whatever they're flicking through, and everyone uses Spotify, which probably doesn't pay the artist anything. So how is it really just in the touring that musicians would make money, and they're trying to sell their own wares through their own website or through, because actual physical sales don't exist anymore, really?
It's really hard. still,
like how can people support musicians better, I guess?
Oh, just go to gigs. just go to gigs and buy their tea towel if you know, but which you will do
musicians
the moment that you sing along to their song.
To have more tea towels.
When you've been singing along to their songs, you just throw your money at them, like I said. It's a really interesting thing in that, like, if you imagine that the history of like song, the history of song. Let's just only go back 2,000 years to Sappho, right? Sappho wrote all her songs, all her poems were songs, were lyrics, and so there's 2,000 years along this timeline here, and there's this tiny little dot up the end of this timeline, and that tiny little dot is like the last 100 years when people made money from music, not touring. It's the only period in time where they made money initially from selling sheet music or piano rolls, and then 78s and 45s and 33s and cassettes and compact discs, and then streaming, and it's over. Yeah. So all of that period of time, people have just been running around singing their songs. That's how they made their money. And the music industry's only got itself to blame. They just started putting out a lot of shitty records with 2 good songs on it that they would spend all their money on, and people like me would blow our lawnmower money and come home with a record that had 2 songs on it. So why would you not do anything but stream? They've only got themselves to blame. So the way that I look at it is that you write your songs to be performed. Even if you're not going to perform them. You know what I mean? They're still written to be performed. They're still written for an audience. Yeah. You know, the wonderful the thing about the invention of the microphone is that it changed the way that songs were written. Prior to the microphone, we're all just singing loud in the hall, big songs about big events and blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden the microphone gets invented with the turntable and the radio, and you're just saying, I love you, baby. I love you, baby.
You get a whole lot of intimacy.
Exactly. And you're singing just to this one person, 1,000 miles away in Kansas, times by 1 million other people all over the country. And so songwriting changed completely with the invention of this technology. So I wonder, seeing as there's no money to be made in digital wares with songwriting, does that mean that we will, I think, here we go.
Circle back.
The sing-along is coming back.
Yes.
The festival sing-along.
In the music, not just listen, but participate in it.
Yeah.
You write your songs to be performed, so to knock people out the very first time.
Yeah.
You know, within reason, anyway.
A polite knockout.
A polite knockout.
Yeah. No guitars.
Not a coward punch.
Ukuleles.
Well, thanks so much, Charles.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you and find out about your gigs or find out about your songwriting courses?
Oh, thank you. There's a website I'll go home and fix up right now.
Update.
A couple of new albums to add to that.
Yeah, I do. Sorry about that. So
like
charlesjenkins.com.au. And that's probably and there's
charlesjenkins.com.au.
Yeah, sorry, that's the best one. Thanks. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll be
absolute pleasure.
We'll be belting out those choruses in the car home. Absolutely. You need to write a song about Warwick. That's where you grew up. There you go. Get into it.
On the map.
The
rhymes
streets of Warwick.
Yeah. Well, there's the Tenterfield Saddler, of course. That was one of the big close ones.
Great.
Well, hang on. Is Warwick around the corner from Tenterfield?
Yeah.
No. Right.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
That's tough.
Isn't it?
That's the best song of all time.
Right? Pretty much the best location song, so it's pretty hard to follow.
Would you just say,
but you're up for a challenge.
Absolutely. But when you were growing up, were you just tempted to not say you're from Warwick and just say you're from Tenterfield? Just because
Warwick's
of the song.
even bigger than Tenterfield, though, wasn't it? Like Tenterfield was even a smaller
It's still
town.
not worthy of a song.
Right.
Anyway.
I'll be on your desk on Monday morning.
It's good to have a deadline.
That's right. And an idea.
Thanks, Charles.
Thanks.
Charles. Thank you for listening. If you liked us, please tell a friend or two. Apparently that's how these things work. We want to acknowledge the incredible stories, culture, resilience and creativity of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, in particular the beautiful lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, where this podcast is recorded. Thank you also to Chris Pickering for the music and Vincent Pickering for the logo and animations. And yes, they are our brothers. We're everywhere.